Well, I'm happy to be here today. In fact, at 92, you're happy to be any place. That I've certainly joined a really distinguished group, the previous speakers, and I hope that I can provide you with some information that you will enjoy. I'd like to say good morning to all the veterans, the veteran families, the special guests, and all the others who've gathered here today to remember the veterans and those who in the service, the professional military and the citizen military have helped maintain our country. That our professional / citizen forces started with the Revolutionary War and continue to this date. And I think that we deserve and have earned through our sacrifices in peace and war the esteemed status of veteran. Today is a special day for Americans, a day set aside for each American to reflect and to thank the veterans for their service. In 1942, I stepped forward to take an oath, as millions of others did, to defend our sacred nation. And as an American veteran, I'm honored to be here to share my thoughts. After the Second World War, tens of thousands suffered casualties. And we did not hold our enemies in bondage because of our character of love, of peace. Our leaders rebuilt the Axis countries into the economic powers they are today. No country in history has ever shown such a high level of compassion to their enemies. As Abraham Lincoln said, charity to all. I think of my time in the military service as related to my birthdays. At my 18th birthday, our country was already at war, and I was a senior in high school. Immediately upon graduating, I signed up for the Aviation Cadet Corps. And my 19th birthday, I was an aviation cadet. My 20th birthday, I was a B-17 pilot. My 21st birthday, I was a prisoner of war. And my 22nd birthday, I was a freshman in college under the really excellent World War II GI Bill, and also an officer in the National Guard. During my next 4 birthdays, I remained a student and an officer in the National Guard. I consider myself a citizen soldier, and most of my comrades in arms during World War II were also citizen soldiers. One particular occasion persists in my memory. In the spring of 1944, the Germans started harassing England with the V-2 rocket. The V-2 launch sites were quickly identified, and the task of bombing them was given to the 8th Air Force. And one of the groups selected for these bombing missions was my group, the 447th. The sites were relatively small, and so repeated bombing runs by 6 plane elements from each squadron was the technique decided upon. We were a regular squadron lead crew and were selected to lead our squadron's mission. The weapons selected for this mission were handmade bombs based on 16-inch naval military projectiles. The mission started smoothly. The navigator directed us to the initial point. The visibility was good. The bombardier took over and steered us to the target area, and we kept the plane at a constant speed and altitude. The bomb release point was reached. The bombardier pushed the release and yelled over the interplane radio, "Bombs away," and nothing happened. No bombs fell out of any of the planes. We hadn't encountered any flak or fighters, and so we decided that we could safely fly out over the channel and have the bombardiers try to figure out what in the heck has gone wrong. The bombardiers released their safety belts, unplugged their heated flight suits, grabbed their walk-around oxygen bottles, got the radio operators to hook them up so they could exchange information on an interplane basis, and they went to the bomb bays. They walked into a somewhat hostile environment. A 150+ mile an hour cold wind was swirling into the bomb bays, and they looked down around a 1.5 foot wide walkway at cold Gulf water 3 miles below. They didn't have chutes, and they didn't have a tether. They decided the 1,600-pound bombs had to be repositioned, and they called for the flight engineers to help. The engineers went into the bomb bays and looked at the situation and decided that they needed some pry bars, and so they went back into the rear part of the plane and took apart a couple of 50 caliber machine guns and brought the barrels into the bomb bays and used the 50 caliber barrels as pry bars. They succeeded in realigning the bombs and fixing things to their satisfaction, sort of a joint operation, and decided that the patterned release using the mechanisms in the bomb bay would really not succeed, and so they decided that they'd do all the releasing by hand, and that They calculated the ground speed, and they calculated the time interval that they would need to drop the 6 bomb loads along the V2 launch base. And then what happened was that our bombardier, who was actually the lead bombardier and dropping and selecting a target for the whole flight, called over the interplane radio bombs away, and he pushed the salvo switch, which dropped everything out of the bomb bay. And when he called bombs away, all the other bombardiers started keeping time, 1001, 1002, and at 1002, number 2 plane, bombardier pushed his salvo switch. At 1004, the number 3 pushed his switch, and so that continued. And that we took pictures of the bomb impacts from 2 of the planes, and it was a reasonably good run, and so we felt pretty satisfied with the way that we'd handled problems and completed our mission. And I sort of feel that that was the way most of we citizen soldiers carry out our tasks during the war. And I think that we did a pretty good job with some very good instructors at our schools and a very good hierarchy in our command. The experience I've shared with you today and many others, including internment in a German POW camp, were among just a few of the many sacrifices that were made to ensure our country's survival. Finally, I always get sentimental when our nation's flag, Old Glory, passes by on parade. My personal mission, as it was in World War II, is defender to the end. Today we honor the great sacrifice and offer up thanks to all veterans that I think we all have left a lot of our comrades behind. Thank you for your kind attention and your service to our country. May God bless you. And those who have gone before. Thank you.